Is there anything else that you've been particularly excited about with Starlink lately or paying attention to?
I mean, I've been very as an astronomer back, with an astronomy background. Yeah, sorry. With my astronomy background, I've obviously been very concerned about how they're going to handle, reducing the impact. And it's been good to see that they've definitely made steps, but they haven't reached their target of satellite darkness. Like they originally wanted to have them underneath magnitude 7, and the first ones went up were about 5. And I don't know if you know how magnitudes work. It's like 2.5 times for each step, so it was significantly brighter, right? Like 5 times brighter than it should have been. And they haven't quite got it down to their target, but they're getting closer with every launch. And it just feels comforting that they do appear to be actively working on these. So yeah, that's one thing that I have had that in mind. It's unfortunately there's no way to avoid it having impacts on various programs.
Right.
Like there's going to be cases like we're going to lose data from like the LSST, right? The Vera Rubin telescope, which is one that I'm very interested in because it's going to be really good at finding asteroids. But that being said, I think that it wouldn't invalidate that telescope by any means. It's still going to be a huge gain over what we have.
Right.
And what I imagine is this. Right now, if you want to launch a satellite in the US, you go to the FCC and you fill out what's called an ODAR, an Orbital Debris Assessment Report, that convinces the FCC that that your satellite is going to re-enter within a reasonable time, that it's not going to release huge amounts of junk, that it's not going to be a huge problem for space debris. I'm imagining that you also have to fill in another section of this, which shows how much light pollution you're going to generate.
Yeah.
What you're doing to mitigate that.
Right.
And that then there would be some regulation that says, we can only have X hundred satellites of this brightness up at any one time. That might mean, that maybe OneWeb's a UK licensed thing, not a US, but the principle's the same. Maybe they can only have 2,000 satellites instead of 8,000, or, some constraint like that, which means that, they have to change their design to have slightly higher power transmitters rather than lower power transmitters on many satellites. There's design trades, right?
Right.
So if you give the engineers constraints, they'll make the trades slightly differently.
Right.
Right. And maybe then that cuts their profit margin by 10% or something like that. But so does their business case not close? It's unclear. So I think the future I see is one, where it's like that, where there are sort of slot assignments and constraints and design constraints in your satellite that you have to follow the same way that you have to follow it for space debris right now.
Right.
And it won't stop you having fairly big constellations of satellites, but it will somewhat constrain what you can do. I mean, I'm looking forward to all of this, don't get me wrong, right? There are two sides. This side of me loves the satellite internet. This side of me is horrified, right? And so, I mean, satellites are fantastic. We are going to see the industrialization of space. And frankly, ultimately, right, 100 years from now, the sky's going to be full. We're going to lose the night sky, and astronomy is going to have to be done off planet. And I think that's sad, but by then maybe we'll be able to do it. A lot of Starlink fans tell me, "Oh, why do you just move the satellites into the telescopes into space now?" And there are so many reasons why that's just not feasible, on the 50-year time scale,
right,
much less the 10-year time scale, right? But it is probably feasible on the 100-year time scale.